What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's Thursday, August the 6th, 2020, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is episode 88 of McRae Live. I am coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada, and today, I just kind of want to talk about this, albeit, I don't want to dive necessarily hardcore into it, but we're going to talk a bit about it because this is an ever-evolving, changing situation. Now, it's so crazy to think that maybe in our lifetime, that movie theaters may not exist. Movie theaters may not exist in our lifetime. Now, for some of you out there, you might be thinking, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I got my home theater. I got my 120-inch projection fucking screen. I got my surround sound. I don't care. I got a, 90-inch TV. I don't care. It's too fucking expensive. It's too this. It's too that. I don't care. Maybe there's a lot of you, that are thinking that. There might be a lot of you that are watching right now that have grown up in the digital age. You do not remember a time. You cannot recall a time when you did not have this in your hand. Oh, it buzzed. I think I have a text. What's this text? I do. I have a text. Let's see what this text is. The text is, it's my dentist. I think they called and left a message, and they're probably like, hey, McRae, we need you to come in here so we can take your dentures out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have dentures. But I do have to go to the dentist. So just for a regular checkup. So where the hell was I? Yeah, maybe you grew up in a digital age where, you just didn't, you're there. And I'm not saying there are not people who are my age and older, in their 40s and older who do not prefer to stay at home, whether that's a financial reason, whether that's, they have a wonderful home setup. And yes, today you can absolutely, and depending on the room you are in, you can feel it. You can feel like you're in a, like a bit of a movie theater. I totally understand that. I mean, the technology still does not compare, but certainly I can understand why you would feel that way. And it can be very expensive, certainly if you have a family or, if you want to go out and you can spend a couple $100 just between you, the wife or the husband, and, your 3 or 4 kids and, the tickets and the concessions and the popcorn and the drink. I mean, and maybe it's crazy. It's crazy. I get it. There are definitely people of my generation and older that certainly feel that way. But I have noticed that a lot of that, I don't fucking care, tends to come from a generation that really didn't grow up with that anyway. Movies used to be, okay, and they still are, and I'm going to get into a few things I want to read here in a second, but I want to say this off the top. Movies, as you've heard me say on a number of occasions, going to the movie theater, and it's not like I'm old. I mean, I'm only 41, but I'm old enough to remember a time when there was no internet and there was no social media and there was no smartphones and tablets and, home theaters and, I remember it very well. So, as many of you do too. And going to the movies still is, but it certainly was even more so then, a really special thing. It was an event. It was like going to a sports game, right? It was like going to see, your favorite hockey team or your favorite football team or baseball team or basketball team. And you know what? You're going to spend a couple $100 on tickets. You're going to spend, you're going to get, a couple of beers or of course, back in the day, it would have been like, soda and popcorn and, you're going to get a t-shirt or, get t-shirts at movie theaters. But you know what I mean? Like going to an event, whether it's going to see your favorite hockey team play or your favorite, whatever the case is, costs money. And because it's not, there's a variety of reasons why it costs that much, but it's an event and it's an experience. It's a night out. You go there. It's not just the product that's on the ice or the field or the court. It's the atmosphere. It's the ambiance of the whole environment. It's an entire experience. I remember when my girlfriend bought us. We were dating for about a year, and she bought us. She bought me obviously, but she bought 2 so she could go as well. Buffalo Sabres tickets to see the Sabres play in Buffalo, and And it was awesome. And she had never been to an NHL hockey game. And she got tickets, unbeknownst to her, to a really good game because it was the Sabres playing the Leafs. Now, Buffalo was only about an hour from Toronto. And it was a game that if Buffalo lost, they were out. It wasn't a playoff game, but it was winding down to the end of the regular season. And if Buffalo had lost, they were out of playoff contention. If they won, there was still a chance. Well, they did end up winning. They didn't end up making the playoffs that year, but they did end up winning that game 6-5 in overtime. And, you know, my girlfriend by the end, she's not really a hockey fan, but by the end of that game, she had lost her voice from screaming so loud. You know what I mean? It was such a, and because we're only an hour from Buffalo is only an hour from Toronto, a lot of Toronto fans go down to Buffalo to see the Leafs play. So anytime the Sabres are playing the Leafs in Buffalo, when the Sabres score, yeah, there's an eruption in the horn and, you know, but when the Leafs score, there's probably about 5,000 to 7,000 or 8,000 Leaf fans in that arena that are also cheering. So it's just great atmosphere. There's a great rivalry there because of their close proximity. So, you know, you didn't just pay for the tickets, you paid for that. You know, you paid for the environment and you paid for the experience. Now, obviously, if you go to the movies a lot, you know, like, I don't know, like some people do. I mean, look, there are some people that go to the movie theater like 10 times in a month. And I'm like, I can't even, no, I don't go 10 times a month. Are you fucking insane? Because there's really not 10 movies I want to see in a month. But then again, I'm very picky. So, but there was a time years ago when going to the movies was really an event, more than it is so now. And especially when a blockbuster came along, it was very special. It was very, very special. Now, as you've heard me say, there's a blockbuster that's released, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times every fucking month. But, you know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. And when a bona fide blockbuster was released, there was a lot of hype around it. There was a lot of anticipation around it, you know, and lineups around the corner. It was an event, you know, like, okay. Do you remember when you went to see Endgame or you went to see The Force Awakens? And despite what you think of Avatar, I really don't give a frog's fat ass, but Avatar was an event. And do you remember that feeling around that? Well, you kind of get that kind of feeling now, probably about 5, 6, I don't know, 10, 20 times a year. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the novel, but that was like very far and few between when I was a teenager. Like when Jurassic Park came out, I was 14. And it was like fucking, it was like insane. It was a buzz, it was all over the news, and people were talking about it, the papers and shit, and you were like talking about it at school and stuff. And, you know, but there wasn't another movie like that for months. You know what I mean? Or maybe even like fucking a year or two. Anyway, so when I see what's going on right now in the world of movie theaters and digital platforms, there is a bit of sadness there for me. Because I do like going to the movie theater. I do like the event nature of it. I do like the environment. I like sitting in a theater. And I don't care how good your home theater is, you don't have a 60-foot screen in front of you with digital, you know, THX, Atmos, you know. So, I mean, not to say that your setup isn't fucking good. I'm not saying, bad day, my setup is exactly, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's not what it's, calm your fucking hormones. But what I'm saying is that there is something about sitting in a big theater in the dark. You know, there's a feeling there, and there's a communal sort of experience that you have with, you know, 250 other people that you're sitting there and you're watching a movie that you really, yeah, if you want to, you know, binge watch Stranger Things, or you want to watch a, you know, fucking, I don't know, Marriage Story, or yeah, it's not a big deal, right? There are certain movies that are designed, created, shot for that movie theater experience. Can you imagine watching Endgame for the first time on this? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on. And I haven't even seen the movie, and I know damn well that watching Endgame for the first time on this does not compare to watching Endgame in IMAX on a 60-foot screen, you know, with your friends and everybody. It just doesn't compare. It just doesn't compare. And there are certain movies that are like that. There's a certain experience that comes with going to the movie theater. And are tickets expensive? Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are. But you know what? So are Michael Myers masks, and you buy those. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of things that are expensive, right? But there's something about that experience that was amazing. Yeah, Darren says THX in the 90s, in the late 90s, THX surround sound began to come into the movie theaters in the late 90s. I remember it because I remember it was, I think the first time, I don't know if it was THX, but my first experience, and I can tell you this, with surround sound in a movie theater was actually Congo, starring Laura Linney in 1995. I remember Bruce and I were sitting in the front row, and it was our first experience with surround sound, and we were blown away. There's moments in Congo that are so like wild, and we were like, what? Like now you'd be like, whatever, I'm so used to this. But in 1995, at 16 years old, watching Congo in the movie theater, it was like, holy shit. And it's all around. We're like, oh, and I remember the guy we were sitting with, and this is how much it affected you, because in 1995, nobody had home theaters that could replicate that, right? So, but this is how much it affected the guy that was sitting in the chair next to us, because obviously you couldn't replicate this experience at home at that time. And he turns and he's like, dude, I gotta get this when it comes out on VHS. Actually, he didn't say VHS. He just said when it comes out, because back then there were no other options other than VHS. So nobody's gonna say, I gotta get this when it comes out on VHS. Like they have to make that distinction. Like how else are you gonna get it? You know what I mean? So he just said, I gotta get this when it comes out. Thinking that, wow, this is so, not realizing that, well, yeah, but it's the experience of the movie theater. And have home theaters changed? Yes. Can they? Depending on how you've treated your home theater, depending on where your home theater is in your house, whether it's professionally treated, what size of the room it is, how close your television or screen is to your couch or seating, that plays a huge part as well. Where you've situated your speakers, is it 5.1, is it 7.1? I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it. There are a lot of home theaters that can definitely be an amazing experience. 100%. And maybe it's the nostalgia in me that's talking. There's a bit of that for sure. But there's something about the movie theater experience, going to the movies and sitting in a theater with a gigantic 60-foot screen and watching a highly anticipated movie in that kind of environment, with that kind of sound, with that kind of visual spectacle. With a bunch of people that are just, with 250 people that are equally as excited for you, or as you, I should say, to watch it. It is a real, still to this day, I think is a real experience that has not been, and I have a little home theater myself with great surround sound, big screen. I've been in friends' theaters, home theaters that are great. And they're great. They're absolutely great. But when I sit in a theater, it doesn't compare. It just doesn't. It's not that it's not great. It's great. It's great for the home theater experience. But yeah, it just doesn't compare. And it's crazy to think what's going on in the world right now and how the movie theaters may be dying because of a move that Chapek, the head of Disney, says is a one-off. And I'm like, well, yeah, it may be a one-off. Well, everything's a one-off at the moment to see how it goes. And you want to say it's a one-off because then if it fails, you can go, oh, well, it was a one-off. And we were just kind of seeing what was happening. If it's hugely successful, and I'm talking about Mulan, of course, if it's hugely successful, you really think this is going to be a one-off? I mean, why would you? Why would it be? It doesn't make good business sense. I mean, if Disney can release Mulan on Disney Plus, what, they've got 60 million subscribers. Let's say 25 million, which is still a lot. I mean, who knows how many people are going to purchase this $30 Mulan business, but let's just say 25 people do, or 25 million people do. Well, 25 million times 30 is like, what is that? That's like, what, 700, what is that? 25 million. There we go. Times 30 is 750 million. I mean, it's 750 million, and that's theirs. it's not like they have to, I don't believe, well, no, like they don't have to pay a percentage of that to the theater owners. So, I mean, if Mulan actually does succeed in doing that, you can't tell me that this is, it's just a one-off thing. Just a one-off. Why? Why would you not then explore the option of actually utilizing that to your advantage? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make much sense to me. It doesn't make much sense. That this, I mean, yes, it's a one-off. Of course you say it's a one-off because it allows you the wiggle room to back out if it fails. You know what I mean? Because then you can say, well, it's just one-off. You don't want to appear overzealous. That's what it is. You know, you don't want to appear overzealous because, like I said, if it fails, well, then you can go, well, you know, we knew it probably wasn't going to do, you know, and then you just don't look like an idiot. You know what I mean? But if it's hugely successful, then you can go, well, wow, such a surprise. It's amazing. I think we'll try that again. And it's not like they're going to do that with every movie. But certainly I think they are exploring this option. And Mulan is a great bait. It's a great, what do you call it? Guinea pig. Mulan is a great guinea pig to try this out with. Yep. Yeah. I'll be surprised if that many people purchase it, to be honest with you. But fuck, it's unbelievable. Darren's like, first Dolby surround movie was Star Wars. First Dolby SR movie was RoboCop. First Dolby digital movie was Batman Returns. First DTS movie was Jurassic Park. First Dolby Atmos movie was Disney's Brave. Yeah, that's not that long ago. That's like, what, 10 years ago or something? First DTS movie was Jurassic Park. Yeah, I remember, it's funny, I did see Jurassic Park in the theater, but my first recollection of surround sound was Congo. And it might have just been because of how it was utilized, because in Congo there was a lot of gunfight and things like that. And of course I was a couple years older, so maybe my memory is a bit more clear for that. But certainly, yeah, I mean, the digital, that had been around for a while. But no, the Atmos, no, was not around when I was a teenager. I just meant that that when I was a teenager, I remember the digital surround sound coming in, and I remember it being such an immersive experience. And of course, at that time, you couldn't replicate that at home. I mean, the only spot you could go to see that, of course, or experience that was in a theater. Let me move over to, let me just see here. I want to read, there we go. So this is sort of what the gist of the situation is here. I think it's this one. There we go. So this is coming to us from, and I know I'm late on this. I know there are other people that have talked about this already, but this comes from The Guardian, reputable source. You guys probably already know all this, but it's just interesting to read and kind of, I don't know. It's just really interesting. Disney opts for digital release of Mulan, shocking cinema owners. Yeah, cinema owners are not happy right now, and rightly so. Like, I totally get it. I totally understand it. Unfortunately, the shitty thing is that if this is successful, if this does blow everybody away, and Mulan ends up making close to $1 billion on streaming, blockbuster to go straight to streaming in response to COVID-19 shuttering cinemas. Disney's decision to bypass cinemas and offer its latest big budget film Mulan directly for streaming subscribers for $29.99 could signal the beginning of the end for the traditional movie-going experience. This makes me incredible. And they're right. Like I said, they are right. I mean, hype it, and we don't know how many people are going to buy this thing. We really don't know. But I do know there's a lot of people that wanted to see this, including myself. Now, am I ready to dish out $30 to see it? Probably not. Like, I think I really think it does depend on the movie. I don't think you could set a base price of, every blockbuster is good. I mean, because there's not every movie I care to the same degree. And there are some people that have been like, hey, Dave, you'd pay $60 to see a Halloween movie. And I'm like, there are people that would. I don't think I'd pay $60 to see Halloween Kills. I don't even know if I'd probably pay $30 to see Halloween Kills, but that's because there's an expectation that I'm going to see Halloween Kills and people are going to want to know my thoughts, right? With any luck, I'll be able to see it at the world premiere in Toronto if it comes back to TIFF next September. And then whatever, right? But we'll see what happens. But certainly, yeah, I probably would, A, because it's a Halloween movie, and B, because, well, I mean, there's an expectation, right? Dave, I'm known as, one of the Halloween guys, right? So, I mean, there's an expectation. People want to know what I thought. But Mulan, I'm not a movie reviewer, so I don't have to, I want to see this movie. It looks really good. $30 though. I think I can wait. Anyway, signaling the end of the traditional movie-going experience and forever changing the long-established business model up Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what, and theater owners are not happy about this. They're not happy about this, folks. They're really not. It's one of those things where, Anyway, underpinning the Hollywood blockbuster, yeah. The surprise move has stunned cinema owners, you bet your fucking ass it has, who had been banking on the film, along with Christopher Nolan's sci-fi thriller Tenet, which I still think is going a theatrical release. They're going to do their best to release it in areas where theaters are open. And so there is going to be an international release with Tenet, but it's going to be sort of sporadic. Like it'll open here, but it's not going to open. I don't think it's going to open in LA and New York, as far as I know. Maybe Darren knows this off the top. I don't think it's going to be opening there. It's going to be opening. Yeah, like it's going to be sort of in sections in what is open and what theaters and what markets and what area can do that. But then even that, the in-going movie-going experience for the in-theater movie-going experience for Tenet, again, is going to be limited because we don't know, again, theater capacity is only going to be running at about 50% or something. So, and so we don't even know how many of that 50, I mean, just because movie theaters are open to 50% capacity doesn't mean that 50% capacity is going to show up. I mean, you could have half your seats available in a movie theater, but only 15% get filled. So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. To jumpstart the box office takings as theater chains struggle to recover from the coronavirus pandemic. The move, sorry, thing's a little small here. The move is seismic given Disney's utter dominance of the worldwide box office. The company made a record $13.2 billion in ticket sales last year, with cinema owners believing it would be the last Hollywood studio to look at believing it would be the last Hollywood studio to look at threatening the 70 to 90 day exclusive theatrical window. They have enjoyed at the top of the pecking order for newly released films before they head to other platforms. That was horribly said, but I think you know what I'm talking about there. It was, on my part, it was horribly said. The Hollywood studios have used the pandemic to experiment with more digital-first output. 100% they have. 100%. And why wouldn't they? Again, this is show business. And although there is an agreement with theater owners, I mean, at the end of the day, if studios can be like, well, because it's business, it's about business. And yes, I mean, I think there is a affection there, and there is a love, and there is a honor for movie theaters, 100%. But at the end of the day, if these studios can make that kind of money and not have to pay a percentage to the movie theaters, I mean, oh my God. And would you do? Of course you would. If you could make, let's say for 10 years, you were making billion-dollar movies, but you had to give me a percentage of it. And let's say you figured out a way to make $1 billion and not give me any of it. What, you're not going to do that? Of course you're going to seriously consider it. 100%. And yeah, there's damage control and there's things you got to do. And, there's a whole new business model that has to be created, of course, to make sure that it's sustainable. And whether or not, movie theaters, is there a phasing out? Is it just a restructuring? Do movie theaters still exist, but it's just not what it used to be? I mean, of course, there's whole other variables at play, but if you're the head of the company, you can't tell me that you don't look at that bottom line and think that it's potentially attractive. So, Darren says international rollout first August 26th, US following September 3rd with staged rollout depending on cinema availability. Yeah, so exactly so it all depends on the availability, and how many people are going to go to the movie theater, right? 50% capacity, but that doesn't mean you're going to get 50% into the actual theater. So unbelievable. Yes, they've used the pandemic to experiment with more digital-first output, though to date, the straight-to-streaming releases have tended to be small to mid-sized budget titles. That is true for obvious reasons, of course. Or projects that the studios have lost faith in as potential box office hits. Mulan was expected to be the latest $1 billion plus grossing film from the Disney hit machine. Really, eh? They thought it was going to be that? I guess, maybe. I don't know. Is the first bona fide blockbuster to go digital first, and it is. Disney revealed its plans, as it is reported, a $4.7 billion loss in the quarter to the end of June. Its first let me try this again. I'm getting all mixed up here. Disney revealed its plans, as it reported a $4.7 billion loss in the quarter to the end of June. Its first loss in 2 decades, as its business suffered from theme parks and cinemas being shut. That's true too. We got to think about that. The one bright spot was its new streaming service, Disney+, which since launching in November has passed 60 million subscribers globally, 4 years ahead of internal projections, giving the company the confidence to test release one of its marquee films online first. You see, that's a good point too. We cannot forget that one of the reasons, if not the main reasons why they're doing this, is because there's leverage, or there's slack, I should say, right? They have 60 million subscribers. So they're thinking, well, if we can even get a quarter of that to buy into this $30 business model for Mulan, we're going to have like a $500 million film right there. If we even get a quarter of them, into that. So I can certainly understand the business mindset and the mentality of maybe this is, and Mulan is a film that, as I said, it's a guinea pig and they're willing to take a risk with this movie. And of course, like I said, they say it's a one-off. No. We're just kind of, but if this succeeds, can you imagine if 30 million people buy into this? Oh my God. If you love the movie going, hey, folks, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this, okay? Because I don't like to see movies fail. But if you are pro-theater, if you are pro-cinema, if you want to go to the fucking movie theaters because you love the movie theaters and you enjoy the movie theater experience and you love all that, you better hope and pray Mulan fails. I hate to say it, because if this thing is hugely successful, that theater-going experience, this could be now, again, it doesn't mean it's gone next year. It doesn't mean there are no movie theaters in 5 years. But this could, in due time, down the road, you could all look back to Mulan as the catalyst that started it all. It's like how I always say that you can trace every problem in the terms of the series of Michael Myers in Halloween to Halloween 5. The series, the franchise, right? You could go all the way back to Halloween 2, 1981, if you really wanted to get technical. But in terms of spawning the series after that, it all comes back to 5, because 5 is the one that introduced the Man in Black. You wouldn't have had the shitty thing in 6 if there wasn't for 5. And then they wouldn't have felt the need to revamp everything and do H2O if it wasn't for 6. And then you wouldn't have got Resurrection if it wasn't for H2O. And then they wouldn't have felt to revamp everything again if it wasn't for Resurrection. And then they wouldn't felt the need to revamp everything again if it wasn't for... So, like, if you go down the chain and you go all the way back, you can go, well, it was Halloween 5. Halloween 4 was a pretty decent return with an iconic ending. It was 5. So that's what I'm saying, is that in due time, maybe 15, 20 years from now, and it might even be before that, but I'm saying, just to give myself some leeway, you could be able to look back and go, you know what? 20 years ago, it was that fucking Mulan thing. That's what did it. That was the catalyst. because these things can be insidious, right? Crazy, man. Crazy stuff. 60 million subscribers. Mulan will still premiere in cinemas in countries where Disney Plus is yet to launch, however. Okay. Bob Chapek, Disney's new chief executive, tried to downplay the move, telling investors it was a one-off and not a permanent strategic shift. Well, no, I can't. No, I mean, I believe him. I believe what he says there. But if Mulan makes $1 billion off streaming, Bob Chapek is not going to sit there and go, cool, okay, that's cool. Okay, well, that was kind of fun. That was fun. Oh, all right, anyway, on with the normal. Come on. Come on. This is just so if it fails, oh, well, it was just a one-off anyway. Not a big deal, right? However, he admitted it would be an invaluable experiment to find out how much it boosts new subscriber signups to Disney Plus and digital revenues. Well, yeah, that's what this is about. However, Bob, come on, Bob. Come on, Bob, you're a business guy. But of course, you can't say that, right? You can't say that. And I understand. Global box office revenues hit an all-time record of $42 billion last year, representing a huge slice of income that Hollywood studios will not want to see disappear, assuming movie-going returns to normal. However, film studios get a much greater cut of revenue from going direct to digital than they do at the box office. The more you know, folks, which means films do not have to make as much money to be as profitable. Think of that. If half of the households that subscribe to Disney Plus were to stump up $29.99 to watch Mulan, less than the cost of a family trip to the movies plus treats, the film would gross $900 million, and they don't have to give any of that to the movie theaters. In May, Universal Studios made the first significant digital first move, declining to give the DreamWorks made Trolls World Tour a premium video on demand release at $19.99 instead of delaying its planned cinema premiere. The company subsequently revealed that the film had made $100 million in its first 3 weeks in the US. By comparison, the first Trolls film earned just over $120 million during its entire 5-month run in the US cinemas. Now, you also have to keep in mind that there was a lockdown. There was nothing else to do, right? I mean, a lot of people might be buying into Mulan because not only is it more convenient, but a lot of people are afraid to go to the movie theaters, right? They're afraid to go. So, you got, and there's nothing else going on. There's no sports, there's no activities. There's still, for all intents and purposes, a gigantic lockdown happening. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are not going to these, that wouldn't go to the movie theaters even if they could because they're afraid to. So that has to be taken into consideration as well. So anyway, let me see here. How long is the rest of this article? It goes on and on and on here. You can read the rest of this if you want. It's over at The Guardian, or just Google Mulan Disney. I mean, you'll see it. It'll pop up. But I just wanted to sort of touch on it briefly there and give you some insight into what's going on in case you don't know. This could be a make or break for movie theaters. And I don't mean that movie theaters are not going to exist next week or next year. I'm not saying that. But like I said, this could be the catalyst that begins the seismic shift. And it's definitely something that you shouldn't sleep on if you care about this kind of thing. Now, the other thing I wanted to read was a, let me see here. There we go. So this is an official response from UNIC, Survival of Cinemas at Stake, folks. This was posted yesterday. This is the International Union of Cinemas, the body representing cinema trade associations and operations across 38 European territories, has issued the following statement. As European cinema operators finally emerge from a period of extended closure due to the COVID-19 outbreak and work hard to welcome audiences back, the focus of the entire industry must be on ensuring that recovery can happen and that audiences return to enjoy the unique experience of watching films on the big screen. I do agree there. It is a unique experience in and of itself, and it can be an event in and of itself, like going to a sporting event, especially if it's a highly anticipated blockbuster. Like, you know, despite what you think of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, getting excited about going to see The Force Awakens was pretty fucking awesome. And then, of course, because most people, yeah, sure, maybe it was a little bit like A New Hope. Some people thought, I don't share that, but I understand what they're saying. And there was a high anticipation around The Last Jedi as well. And that's kind of where everything tanked. But I get it. It is a unique experience. While many on the distribution side have indicated that we are all in this together, recent events make it clearer than ever that this sentiment must be backed by actions as well as words. There is no truer statement in this world than actions will always speak louder than words, because anybody can say anything. It's the actions and the follow through on those words that are most important. When you tell somebody you love them, you have to show them you love them as well. Because anybody can say anything. Specifically, new content must be released in cinemas first and observe a significant theatrical window, both elements being essential for the survival and health of every part of the European and indeed global cinema industry. 100%. I agree with that. Or am I not going down here? Oh, I guess I'll have to scroll up on this side. Okay. It's not as long as I thought it was. Let me just put this up here. There we go. Okay. A cinema-first strategy for film releases, accompanied by a significant period of theatrical exclusivity, is a proven business model and crucial for ensuring that audiences can enjoy a diverse range of films. This system was the foundation for a record-breaking 2019 with 1.34 billion admissions and 8.7 billion, this is in euros now, earned at the box office in Europe alone. The entire sector faces unprecedented challenges. More than ever, decisions across the industry need to be made with a long-term perspective. I agree. I mean, I'm pro-theater, so I agree with that, but I'm not an idiot. I do understand that the evolution of the digital experience, you know, it's the future, as they say, or as Donald Pleasance would say, the future. It's the future. But it is, and I get that. Like, I'm not naive. I'm not dumb. I understand that this is, you know, this is reality. But I do come from an era where, I'm pro theater. And if there's any opportunity for them to coexist, I mean, eventually one's going to have to take over. But if there's any opportunity for them to coexist as long as possible, of course, I would love that, because I love going to the movie theater. It's an experience, you know, for me. And depending on the movie you're seeing and the people you're with and the people in the theater, and yeah, it's just great. So I do side with that 100%. Where did I leave off here? Right. Okay. The entire sector faces unprecedented challenges. More than ever, decisions across the industry need to be made with a long-term perspective. If our studio partners oblige cinemas to wait until the sector emerges from the crisis in the US before supplying new content, it will prove too late for many European cinemas and their dedicated workforce. And again, this is European-centric, but you can apply this to here in North America as well. 100%. All who depend on the success of the film industry should commit to ensuring the future health of the whole sector. By doing so, they will ensure that the wider film industry and European cinemas, excuse me, let me try that again. By doing so, they will ensure that the wider film industry and European cinemas, from one screen independence from from one screen independence to art houses and multiplexes will recover and return from this crisis stronger and more resilient than ever. Sometimes I got to go back and read things again because it probably looks larger to you, but it's a bit smaller to me. So I apologize for the starts and stops there on a few occasions. And then of course about UNIC, the Union International. Oh, okay. This is I'm definitely not in French, but this is French here. De Cinémas International, which just means of movies, of cinemas. International Union of Cinemas, UNIC, represents the interests of cinema trade associations and cinema operations covering 38 countries in Europe and neighboring regions. So I thought that was very interesting as well. And yeah, folks, I mean, this is a real issue. And you know, I never, it's, we may think that things are going to go back to normal, you know, but, you know, and I'm not trying to get all conspiratorial here, but, you know, there's a lot of things that I see changing and a lot of lingo that politicians are using and that people are using that makes me think that we ain't going back to normal. There will be a normal, but there will be a new normal. And I don't mean that in a conspiracy kind of way. I mean that in a, you know, a genuine, like it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, if masks become more common. You know, maybe there will be a time where we won't have to wear masks as much as we are now because of a vaccine or because we've we've flattened the curve and it's basically non-existent now for all intents and purposes. Sure, maybe there's a lax on it, but it wouldn't nothing surprises me anymore. You know, when you get to your 40s, very rarely does anything surprise you. And it wouldn't surprise me if masks become mandatory at a certain level, maybe at a certain time of year because of flu season, or certain businesses will require it now all the time. You know, I mean, sounds crazy. And I have no doubt there's some of you might be thinking, oh, well, fuck that. I'm not going. Well, yeah, you can say that, you know, but I mean, you got to shop, you got to eat. You know, you got to take your car in to get your oil change. You know, and maybe it's not mandatory and the government isn't mandating it, but it becomes a business by business thing. Who knows? I mean, that wouldn't surprise. Hey, it's flu season. Flu season begins, let's say, in October. Okay, now Walmart all of a sudden says, hey, from this point until, you know, for the entire flu season, you got to wear a mask to come into the store. I mean, that could, listen, if you think that that's not going to happen, you heard it here first. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's no longer mandatory, but businesses during high transmittable times a year implement that, you know? So, and it just becomes a new normal. And I'm sure you've heard the term new normal a lot, you know? So I look at this and I'm like, yeah, we can sit here and think that, oh, you know, yeah, maybe, you know, no, we'll be back. It'll be back. You know, yeah, just wait till next, we'll be back. Everything will be fine. Be totally back to normal as if there was no corona, as if everything, I don't know, man. I don't know. And again, I don't mean that in a conspiracy way. I mean that in a legitimate sort of what we're seeing. And we're seeing how people are getting used to this. And you know, we're seeing branded masks. You know, we're seeing sports teams and pop culture and having branded masks, you know, like it's normal, like it's, hey, get this. And I get it's a smart business move because people are more likely to wear a mask if they have their favorite team on it or their favorite pop culture character. It's psychological. It's brilliant. It's brilliant marketing. It's a brilliant business move, 100%. And then you make all sorts of different kinds of masks. Oh, that's cool. That looks cool. Okay, I'll wear that. Yeah, I'll totally wear that into Walmart. I ain't wearing that fucking cheap, like, hospital shit. Oh, but I'll totally wear that Michael Myers one. It's brilliant. It's brilliant, right? And people will do it. You know, and maybe it becomes sort of a thing, right? And I'm using that as an example of sort of in relation to what we're seeing from the shift in culture as well. You know, in movie theaters, it's like, nah, we'll be going back. Everything will be normal. It'll be like it never happened. I don't know, man. You know, like we're seeing some major experiments from these studios, like shit that I never would have dreamed of them doing this time last year. Oh, fuck, it's 6 months ago, 8 months ago. We're seeing Universal has the balls to try to launch some sort of agreement with AMC about shrinking the theatrical window from 90 days to 17. I mean, you got to have balls of fucking steel there. Now, a lot of people have said, a lot of people have asked me what I think about that. And it's like, well, I totally get why people are upset. And for it to go through, all the other theater owners would have to agree to it. So, I mean, Universal can strike that deal with AMC, but then they wouldn't be having their movies play in, I mean, Cineplex would have to agree to it. Cineworld would have to agree to it. Regal would have to agree to it. Like although AMC is the largest theater chain, there are lots of other theaters that Universal would like to get their movies into. And if they're like, fuck you, no, we're not agreeing to that, it's likely not to go through. It was likely maybe a test to see if they could get away with it. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. Who the fuck knows? Who knows at the end of the day? But this one with Mulan, like the Universal one, I was like, because I realized that, well, in order for this to really be successful, everybody's going to have to agree to it, and that's not likely to happen. But this Mulan thing, I was like, leave it to fucking Disney, right? It was like, is this? So I'm telling you, if you guys want the movie theater experience to go back to normal the way it used to be, you better pray Mulan bombs. It's not going to. It might not make 500 million or 900 million or $1 billion. It probably won't make that, but it might. And you better hope that Mulan, if you want the movie, and I'm just saying, if you're pro theater, I might advise you not to buy it, because if you don't care, buy away if you don't care. But I don't know. Now, again, Mulan is not a movie that I would have paid $30 to see. It's probably not a movie that I may have gone to see it in the theater. I may have, but I may not have. So I really don't have a dog in the fight, per se, in that regard, but it is scary. It's an interesting time we are living in. And there is definitely on the horizon here for movie theaters a potentially catastrophic seismic shift. Now, again, let me say this. I'm not saying it's going to happen that if Mulan makes $1 billion on streaming, that all of a sudden movie theaters are going to be shutting down the next day. That's not what I'm saying. These things take time. But like I said, if it makes that kind of money, oh boy. Now, again, there's a number of factors of why that could be. There's not many other, as I mentioned, and I'm saying it again. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's because it's important. There's not a lot of other things that are occupying people's times either. Amusement parks are open but not open. Movie theaters are closed. Sports, you can't go see your favorite teams. No concerts, no big gatherings and festivals. I mean, although we're not as locked down as we were, we're still pretty much locked down. So there's not a lot of other things to do other than to sit at home and buy a movie on streaming. You know what I mean? And maybe half of those people that spend $30 to watch Mulan on streaming, if they had the choice, would go to the theater to see it, right? They would go to the theater to see it. But because they can't, they actually literally can't, well, they're going to buy it on stream. Well, of course I'm going to, because you're not giving me the option. But if you gave me the option, I would go to the theater. You know what I mean? So you have to factor that in too, that if things were normal and you released Mulan on streaming, like say this was in January, and you released, or say there was no coronavirus and they just decided to put Mulan on streaming for purchase. Would it make 900 million? Probably not. Not, because there's so many other factors that are occupying people's times their time and things like that. So anyway, very interesting stuff indeed. I find it fascinating, but this is huge. I don't think people realize how big this could be. It could be nothing. but it's potentially catastrophic to the theater going experience. Potentially. Again, not right away, but man, crazy stuff. Let's go over to your super chats and see what you guys are saying about it. I can answer any questions, of course, you guys have related to the main topic today, or we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, of course. Let me just go over to the movie studio and get your super chats. I always forget to bring this up because I am now forced to use YouTube's new streaming thing. I was ordinarily I was using the old school classic, but I'm forced to use this now. So whatever. Son of a bitch. Okay, so quite a few super chats came in. All right. Intel Wild, thank you, Intel, says 30,676 US this morning. Yes, the It's Me Billy campaign is sitting at 30,676 US. That's about 40,700 Canadian. Folks, like I said, we have only 28 days left in the campaign, 4 weeks. The link is in the description. Head over there, check out the perks. You can donate as well. Anything, whether it's $2, $3, $5, $100, it doesn't matter. Every little bit helps. We want to get as close to our goal as we possibly can. So the link to the Indiegogo campaign for It's Me Billy is in the description. This is not this will be a high production value fan film. This is a legit production. So we need your help to make this a reality. You guys are helping to make this a reality. If you want to see a short film now, it's not a feature, but if you want to see a short Black Christmas fan film, a sequel to the original from 1974 with a production value that looks like something you would see on Hulu or Netflix, you got to help us out. And you do your part, we'll do our part, and we'll make this a reality and blow you guys away. We're really excited about it. Like, we had a meeting last night, myself and Bruce, with our DP. Sorry, I had a couple things in my head there. We had a meeting last night with our DP, Greg Bennett, and it was a great meeting, and we discussed shots and lighting and of course his team, because obviously we'd have to bring on a focus puller and an assistant to him, and we're talking about who to bring in for drone shots and things like that. So we're just so excited. Like we're beginning to dive deep into this, and this month Bruce and I will be finally putting together our shot list. We started to do that earlier in the year, but the script has changed and a lot of the things, a lot of scenes have changed. So we sort of have to start over and lay out our shot list. And of course, the shot list is when you go through the script and you break down the script by scene and you figure out how each scene is going to be shot. How many shots do you have in this scene? What are the camera angles? Is it a close-up? Is it a medium shot? Is it a faraway shot? Is it a drone shot? And so we're going to start to do that this month, because the script is, although it's gone through a few adjustments and alterations and changes over the last couple of months, it's pretty locked right now. So we're very excited about that. Let's see. Just get through these super chats here. Rio Reveal, thank you, buddy, says, when will the next Billy a Thong be, Dave? A thong? A thong? Or you mean a thon? A thong? I don't know. I mean, we thought about wearing just thongs here on the show, but we thought, that might scare a lot of people. We are probably going to do another one. Maybe not go for 5 hours. That was a long time. Maybe 3, maybe something like that. But we're probably going to do another one this month. So as soon as I know, I will let you guys know. Intel Wild, another super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, positive thoughts, H kills in IMAX, and it's me, Billy, in 2021. That's right. That's right, my man. That's right. Schnip says, quick question. What's up? Well, the ceiling is up, actually. The ceiling is up. Thank you, Schnip. Appreciate it, man. Johnny T says, thank you, Johnny, says, theaters won't die till the industry can stop piracy and account for more than one person watching VOD. Maybe everyone watching needs a pair of VOD glasses. You'd be surprised, Johnny T. I get the principle of what you're saying, but the theaters will die. Well, no, if anything, piracy would be a reason for theaters to die, because what happens is that, just because you stream on Disney Plus doesn't mean that you can't pirate that. I mean, I can go right now, I won't, but I can go right now and I can pirate anything off of Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus right now. I can set up a DSLR, shoot my big screen. It's going to look pretty good. For a pirated copy, it's going to look pretty good. Shoot my screen, record it, get the sound in there, put it on, and people will watch it. Will it be as great as having a original copy? Well, no. But for a pirated copy for free, it'd be pretty damn fucking good. I'm not suggesting people do that. I'm just saying that that's easy to do. And it's more easier today than it's ever been. Years ago, people had to go to the movie theaters, sneak into the theaters with their, high 8 camcorders, sit at the back of the theater and film the screen. I mean, that's what you had to do like 25 years ago, 20 years ago, right? You don't have to do that anymore. So if anything, piracy from digital streaming services would actually just help the cause of movie theaters to die. And it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate because I love going to the movie. Again, going to the movie theater to see like Marriage Story or I don't know, like just a romantic comedy or not a big deal, right? But there are certain movies where the movie-going experience is part of the whole thing. Yeah, I can watch Marriage Story on my fucking phone and watch it in the theater and, not really a lot of different. I mean, there's a difference, obviously, but, in terms of the experience, well, it's not a big deal because it's not that kind of movie. But watching Avengers Endgame for the first time on your phone or even on my 32-inch monitor here, it'd be fine, but it ain't no IMAX. That's for sure. So, Rican Man 85 sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, I don't think a lot of people will pay for Mulan. Most of the people who have Disney Plus aren't the greater goers in the first place. Yeah, maybe, but we'll see. But I'm telling you, man, if it does break records in terms of this kind of, if it does do really well, that's not good. Not good. I mean, it's great for Disney, not good for the theater owners, the theater chains. Recon Man follows up with, if you know you will literally get the same experience months later on Disney Plus for just your $7 subscription, why would anyone really pay $30? Well, it's the immediacy of it, right? It's the immediacy of it. It's one of the reasons why I actually like buying. I've been buying more online now because sometimes you're forced to buy online and there's no other way to get something unless you purchase it online. But I have to admit, I'm a bit of an old fogey that way. And if I have the option to purchase something from Best Buy online or literally drive down the street to the Best Buy around the corner from where I live and buy it there, I will go to the Best Buy and buy it. I will, hands down, because I like the immediacy of it, like right there, right then and there. There's something, and again, I come from that era, right? I'm 41 years old. I come from a time, as a lot of you guys do as well, where we couldn't do that. And there was something really cool about going to the store, and seeing, it there and picking up and buying it, and there's the immediate gratification. Oh, here's my card. Here's my cash. You give me I've got it. And I go home and you feel like you've accomplished something. Younger kids today don't, I mean, obviously they do, but there's people growing up in the age of purchasing online. It's like going to the video store, right? And there was something really cool about on a Friday night, hey, you want to rent a movie? Yeah, let's go rent a movie. Oh, that's kind of fun. And you'd go up, you'd get in your car and you'd drive down the street and you'd go to the video store and you'd walk in and there was that, the endorphins from seeing your movie in, right? Or maybe it's not in and all the copies that you wanted to rent are out and you're like, damn, and there's disappointment. And then you go to the front desk, right? And they're like, oh, one just came in and you're like, yeah! It was a whole thing. And I know kids today don't understand that. And they probably look at me like, okay, boomer, even though I'm not a boomer. But there's that mentality, right? But there's something to be said about that kind of stuff. For those of you that don't know, I'm a Gen Xer, but obviously, there's that kind of thing, right? Where people are like, oh, like, there's the immediate gratification of it. So I think you put it at $30, if you really want to see that movie and you got kids, man, I think people are going to do it. I really do. I don't know if 25 million people will do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if 10 million people do. 15 million people do. That wouldn't surprise me. Making $500 million? That wouldn't surprise me, you know? So I agree with what you're saying, but we do live in a world where there is an immediate there's an immediate gratification, you know, that happens when with movies, and I think people will. I agree with you though, in the sense that I don't know if it's going to make that much, but it's crazy, man. Neo Rook sends in a $2 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, it's bloody hot here today, Gov. Is it hot there? Here? No, you know what? It's cooled down here. It's actually not that bad. It is, what's the temperature right now? It is, because but it's getting hot this weekend. No, it's 23 degrees Celsius. So it's probably about, I don't know, 70 something Fahrenheit maybe. It's not too bad here, but we have had a scorching hot summer here in Toronto, because for the whole month of July, I'm pretty sure 25 out of the 31 days were probably like high 90s. It was insane. And we're going back up there, I think, this weekend. So, you know, a bit of relief, but what are you going to do? Mr. Bibby 86. I like that. Sends in a super chat, says, would Halloweens do good on VOD if it was released this year? Also, how do you think VOD will affect piracy? Well, I was just talking about that. It's very easy to pirate a movie on VOD because, you know, people don't expect, here's the thing that's so interesting. People don't expect pirated movies to be great quality. People don't expect that. If you happen to get a pirated movie that is of great quality, like it looks like you're looking at the original, you know, cut, well, that's great. That's amazing. But like I said, I take my DSLR, frame it on my TV, put on my surround sound, put a shotgun mic, well, no, not a shotgun mic, but put like 2 microphones. Like if I set it up appropriately, and then, of course, a lot of people today as well have access to video editing software. State of the art, Avid, Final Cut, Adobe Premiere, Sony Vegas. You know, I mean, you know, you take what you recorded. You can also, here's the thing too. I'm giving ideas to people, but I'm talking about the reality. You can record the image separate from the audio. So you can record the image off your fucking screen. It's beautiful, looks great. It clearly looks like it's being recorded off a screen, but it looks really good. Looks really, really good. You can then record the audio separately, bring both of those into video editing software, line it up, and then render it out. And your audio is fucking fantastic. People are more likely, and this is a proven fact, people are more likely to watch subpar video with great audio than great audio. No, wait a minute. People are more likely to watch videos with subpar video and great audio than subpar audio and great video. So as long as your audio is really good and your video's pretty good, you can do it. And if you know what you're doing, you throw that thing online as a torrent, or, you know, you throw it up. So it is way easier today to pirate movies than it's ever been. And that's because of streaming. Like I said, years ago, you had to take your high 8 camcorder into the theater and sit at the back and zoom up on the screen or whatever and hope that, you know, nobody caught you. I think there's a Seinfeld episode where Kramer tries to do that or something or whatever. Like, I mean, you know, that's what it was like. Nah, not anymore, man. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Let me see. Let me just get the rest of those super chats here. So, and do I think Halloween VOD? Here's the thing. It's all about the business model. It's not that Halloween wouldn't do well on VOD. It probably would. But the problem is that they exceeded expectations with Halloween 18. It made $250 million at the worldwide box office. It's the highest grossing slasher movie in motion picture history right now. As of right now, there isn't a business model where that's possible. Yet, Mulan's a guinea pig here. You release Halloween 8 kills on VOD, yeah, it's probably going to make its budget back and then some, and it'll make profit. But there's nothing yet to tell us that it's going to make $250 million at the box office. They want to set themselves up for the best probability of success. And right now, that business model is in the movie theaters. If there was no Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills was the first movie, maybe they would have done that. Maybe they would have done that because there's no comparison, right? There's no expectation to their shareholders and to their, the money they borrowed. And but it's like, hey, we want to maybe we're not going to make $250 million again, but you mean that we could make $200 million again? Well, that right now is in movie theaters. Well, that might be changing with Mulan. That might be about to change, and it's crazy. It's not that Halloween wouldn't do well. It's that would it make 250 million or even something close to that? And as of right now, the probability is low, no. So it's not that it wouldn't do fairly well. It would do fine. Halloween, it'd probably make it, yeah. But it's how well will it do? And right now, movie theaters is where the money is at, especially when you can release it in IMAX, charge more, things like that. So, and each individual pays for their own individual ticket. Whereas you put it on VOD, you can invite 50 of your friends over and pay $20, like essentially the price of two people, but there's 48 other people that are essentially watching it for free. You know what I mean? So it's the business model right now that's not indicative for Halloween Kills to be released on VOD, especially when you have a movie that made $250 million prior to it. They want to get as close to that as they possibly can. I don't think Kills will make that much because usually sequels don't make as much as, their successful predecessors, but it's entirely possible. It could. So, let's see. Rican Man, thank you, buddy. Sends a super chat again, says, in order to be eligible for Academy Award, a movie has to be in the theater for a certain amount of time. That is true. There is still a lot of stock in the Oscars. That is true too. And it has to be released, of course, before midnight, December 31st of the year prior to the Oscar show. That is true too. That's true too. So again, like I said, this Mulan thing, that's why they're calling it a seismic shift. It's unprecedented what we could see here on the horizon. I don't think people understand how huge this might be. Like it could change I always say this, but it's true. It could change the fundamental foundation of the movie-going experience as we know it. Whether that's for the better or worse could be subjective, but could potentially be huge, or as Donald Trump would say, huge. It's true. It's absolutely true. I think I got all the super chats there. No, wait, Chris Baber sent in one. I'll get to that. Rican Man. Yes. Okay. So Chris Baber sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Chris. Says our high-end theater called Cine Bistro here in Richmond just closed. Wow. 21 and older crowd, only with dinner and a bar. Perfect date night setup. So closed for good. That's so sad, man. That's so sad. I get, again, it wasn't necessarily part of a chain, but, what will go first, obviously, are the mom and pop theater shops, and there's a lot of those, and they definitely will be the ones to go first, more than likely. But you know what? If you think Regal or AMC or Cineplex here in Canada or Cineworld, that they're not close behind, again, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, or if Mulan makes $1 billion, the next week all the theaters, close. No, I think they will fight. I think the theater chains will put up a fight, and I think that there hopefully will be some sort of compromise that maybe can be made. I don't think the theater chains are going to go down without a fight, but I'm telling you, if Mulan makes $1 billion or anything even close to it, anything even respectable, say it makes $500 million or 600 or 700 million. Yeah. Would it have made more if it was in the theater? Probably. But like the article said, the theaters get to keep more than that. Sorry. The theaters get to keep more of that All of it, essentially. Yeah, I mean, obviously they have to pay back, they have to pay back on the money they borrowed. And of course, any interest that has accumulated, because that's what people have to understand as well, is that when a studio makes a movie that costs $200 million, that's borrowed money. That's accumulating interest. So it's not like Warner Brothers or Disney, maybe Disney. No. But it's not like there's a vault in their basement that it is stacked with all the, trillions of dollars, and whenever they want to make a movie, they just open that vault and, there's $600 million. Well, that's not how it works. They're always borrowing money. And then, of course, there's interest that accumulates on top of that. But when you negate the theater chains, if you make $1 billion, maybe you're not making, or let's say Mulan makes $600 million. Insane. $600 million on streaming, let's just say. Well, maybe it would have made more, and it probably would have made more if it was put in the theaters. But because they don't have to pay the theater chains their percentage, they've actually almost profited either the same or maybe more. That's insane. If you don't think this is scary for the movie theaters, oh boy, crazy stuff. Okay, Wayne Gotke sends a super chat. Thank you, Wayne. Says, with Oscar picks being what they've been the last few years, they may have rendered irrelevant faster than theaters are. That's true too. Oh yeah, I would just cancel the Oscars. I mean, I'm not comparing the two. The Voice Arts Awards are not the Oscars, obviously. But, everybody in the entertainment industry who works in the entertainment industry, voice actors included, have been hit by this. And I've noticed a drop in work and in auditions and I've noticed a bit of a pickup now, which is good, which is nice, but certainly we've taken a hit. Everybody in the entertainment industry has taken a hit. So I do know that the Voice Arts Awards this year, I don't think they've been canceled, but I don't think they're going ahead with a live show. It's not going to be at Warner Brothers. It'll probably be, because it's at Warner Brothers every year. I don't think it's going to be there this year. I think it's going to be either an online show or maybe it's at Warner Brothers, but it's just online. That wouldn't make sense because there wouldn't be anybody there. So there's no red carpet, there's no show. So, I mean, again, the Voice Arts Awards are not the Oscars, but they are one of the shows that go on in Hollywood, and they're for voice actors. And I don't know. I'm kind of the mindset, just cancel it this year. Cause are people going to be nominated for their best work? I mean, I know that, I've done a lot of things this year, but there's a lot of things I know that I probably haven't done. Maybe work that would have been great, that could have got nominated, that I haven't done, because the entertainment industry has taken a hit too. So I kind of think maybe the Voice Arts Awards should just, although usually what ends up happening is that people kind of look to the Oscars as sort of the, what the Oscars does, then people kind of follow suit. Do you know what I mean? So if the Oscars get canceled completely, I could see Rudy Gaskins and his wife, Joan Baker, who are the chairman and the CEO of the Voice Arts Awards. I could see them making an announcement saying, you know what? No, we're not going to do it. But I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But but I agree. I mean, what movie? I mean, what's going to be nominated for Best Picture? What, like Unhinged with what's his face there? Russell Crowe, or like Trolls. I mean, what are you going to nominate? I know it puts up a big fucking, but you know what? You just I don't know. I should do a show on that because that is interesting. I got to look more into that. But I do know that they're planning on going ahead. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if between now and the fall, like September, October, we get an announcement that the Oscars have been canceled. Yeah. Especially if there's a second wave. If there's a second wave that hits in the fall, it's almost guaranteed. It's almost guaranteed if there's a second wave. Crazy, man. Crazy. Let's see here. Gary Rangel says, Dave, what Halloween Kills actually means, as the title suggests, is the whole town is actually tired and angry about the Michael Myers infecting everyone, according to DGG. Do you think this is true? Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it has a number of meanings. I think there's a double meaning, maybe even a triple meaning. When that title was first released last summer, I remember instantaneously, I knew what it meant. I know and this is the least, like the least reason. That's totally grammatically incorrect. But this is out of the order of reasons why it's called Halloween Kills, this would be at the bottom. It's just sort of a nice kind of little, oh, that's kind of cute. When Annie says, hey, jerk, speed kills, right? Well, Halloween Kills. It does mean that. There's a sense of Halloween, like especially in this town, hey, Halloween kills in this town, right? Be careful. In this town, fuck, that holiday kills, man. It does mean that. Like there's a bit of a kind of a little sort of cute thing there. But I knew instantly it means, well, this is the second act in a 3-act play. The second act is usually always the darkest for our protagonists. At least it should be, because it's the second act. It's also the second act. The second act, is also usually bodes very well for our antagonist. When you look at how this is being structured, even though this is a quadrilogy for all intents and purposes, David Gordon Green is designing, because Halloween 18 was so successful, it has afforded him and them the opportunity to instill a bit of a trilogy. So yes, it is a quadrilogy when you include the first movie, but I think these 3 movies, 18, 2021, and 2022, hopefully, will be able to stand on its own. And you don't even have to watch the first movie at all. Like, you don't even have to watch Halloween 78 now to get what's going on in 18. Like, you don't at all. And it was specifically designed that way on purpose. So for all intents and purposes, you have a trilogy that's being set here. And it's a cohesive story. It's one story. So it's not a story that is a trilogy like Indiana Jones, where there are 3 different, or they have, or they take place at 3 different times, right? We know that it's 18 kills and ends happens over the same night. So because there is a cohesive linear story that's happening over 3 films, it's a trilogy that is one story. So that means then that the first film is your first act, the second film would be your second act, and your third film would be your third act, your final act. Well, if you're writing a proper 3-act play, Ryan Johnson, if you're writing a proper 3-act play, the structure of the second act is usually written in a way that doesn't bode well for our protagonists, and the antagonist gets the upper hand. So yeah, let the bodies hit the floor. And yeah, there's probably going to be some people dying that you may be surprised are dying. Because that's a prediction when and I've been saying that for months. When you know how this goes, the probability, it doesn't mean I'm right, but the probability of that is high when you think about, okay, how would you structure this? You know what I mean? The stakes have to be high. Shit's got to go down. Shit has to end on oh, fuck, in order for us to be excited about the third and final act, right? And the third and final act is the redemption arc, right? So yeah, Halloween Kills means shit's going to go down. Oh, shit's going down. Oh yeah, let the bodies hit the floor, for sure. But that's not, I knew that. I talked about that last summer, where I said this is likely what it means, Oh yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sylvester Stallone. Johnny T says, Dave, is there a specific donation amount to It's Me, Billy, where you would watch and discuss a movie like you did with I See You? Are you asking? Well, trying to bribe me, are you? No, I don't think so. Look, people have donated a lot, whether it's through perks, whether it's through just donations, they're hard-earned money. And there have been quite a few people that have donated quite a bit in one shot. We do have an executive producer who donated to the executive producer package. That's huge. Now, you get a lot with that, of course, but that was huge. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not a movie reviewer, so I don't want to start going down that path because I just don't have an interest in doing it. But certainly, I mean, is there a movie that I would watch that I could talk about like I did? Yeah, I guess so. But I don't feel like I have to do that for a donation amount. I just do that because I like doing it. But I don't know. But if you're asking, I mean, I don't know, $1,000, drop $1,000, man. We'll see. We'll talk. I don't know. What? $1,000? Hey, you asked. You fucking asked. Hey, you asked. No, I don't encourage. I always say, always donate what is within your means, obviously. And because first and foremost, you've got to put food on your table. You got to take care of your family and your kids. That's the most important thing. I mean, we're already blown away by the generosity of people already. Now there's still 28 days to go and we have quite a bit of ground to make up. Somebody asked me the other day, like we're sitting at 40,000 Canadian, almost 41,000. Somebody said, what would you feel okay with if by the end of the month you were at? And I said, you know what, realistically, if we can get to 50,000, I think, to get another 20,000 in 4 weeks, I think is probably highly unlikely. But if we can get to 50,000, I think we're in a really good spot. We're in a really, really good spot if we can get to 50,000. And let's not forget that the total from the It's Me Billy-a-thon has yet to be added. So even though it says 40,000, that's really about 42,000. So if we can get to 50,000, which is another $8,000, I think we're in a really, really good spot. And of course, if we can get more than that, that's always great. But that's where our general kind of thinking is. But yeah, I've never thought about it. I feel almost like an ass even saying, yeah, donate this and I'll fucking do that. Cause I just like, I don't need that. I just like to talk about what fires me up and what makes me, excited. And Darren suggested that on a Patreon only stream. He suggested a couple of movies and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just happened to check one of them out and I was like, oh, I got to talk about this. Let's see here. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, this is good. Would you rather be the new voice killer in Scream 5 or the permanent announcer for The Price is Right? Ooh, that's a good question, man. I would say, I don't know. I mean, Scream, Price is Right probably has better job security, because it's a weekly thing. You're doing it twice a day, 4 days a week. At least that's what they were doing it when I went there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think, would I get bored with it? I don't know. Would I get bored with it? I don't know. I'm not sure. I know why you're asking that though, which is fun because of my Price is Right story, which I won't get into here. I've dove into that a number of times, but yeah, I had that was a cool experience I had for sure. And I mean, if they offered it to me, I would no. I mean, come on, right? I mean, obviously I'd probably take it, but the Scream 5 might be interesting. Because I don't know, it's kind of more in my wheelhouse and it's horror and, it might be kind of cool. You know what I mean? Price is Right though. Certainly I wouldn't turn it down. I mean, that would be pretty damn cool too. Let's see here. Scott7 sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, would you consider doing live commentary videos for the classic Garfield holiday specials on each of the main 3 upcoming holidays? Please. You mean like on 2 dudes, or just myself? That's kind of interesting. That's an interesting. Let me think on that. I've never really even thought about that. That even might be something, because they're short in nature. That might even be something I might be able to do on a McRae Live. Maybe when it gets to the holidays, maybe I do like a McRae Live where we're watching Garfield's Thanksgiving or Halloween or something, because they're only like 22 minutes long, whatever they are. So I mean, could probably do all 3 in one. And of course, I guess I see what you're saying. You want to have it like at the time of year. I don't know, maybe Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I can't promise anything, but we'll see. Fixate sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, hope all is well. In the original Halloween, when Loomis sees the red rabbit matches Nurse Marion uses, did the thought of her having that as a side job ever cross your mind? As a side job? You mean like, well, we don't know what the rabbit in red, okay, in the original Halloween, let me just see here. Rabbit in red. I just want to look at something. Rabbit in red. Matches. I just want to see something here. Just want to see something. He looks at it. Yeah, the Rabbit in Red Lounge. Yes. Okay. As a side job. We don't know, like in Rob Zombie's Halloween, it was a fucking strip club, right? So, but we don't know. I mean, a lounge isn't necessarily a strip club. It's not. If you want to be honest, like, okay, the real reason why that's there is so the character of Loomis, so we as an audience can see the character of Loomis, know that he's on the right track. You plant something earlier in the scene that becomes a plot point later in the movie that tells the character, I'm on the right track because I remember seeing this and he was here, he's been here. I mean, in reality, that's all that is. But if you want to dive deeper, I would say that, yeah, maybe. I've never really thought about it because I've always just sort of seen it for what it really is and why they're using it. We don't know what the Rabbit in Red Lounge is. It's never, I'm talking about the movie here, the original film and the first two films. It's never mentioned what it is. Is it a bar? Is it a strip club? Is it just a restaurant, in town? We don't know. We have no idea. So, no, it's never really crossed my mind. I mean, maybe it was her husband's. Maybe she's married. I don't know. Maybe it was her husband's, or maybe she found it. Maybe a friend of hers gave it to her because, she knows she likes to smoke. So who knows? It's never really crossed my mind. It's never really crossed my mind. But Hans Gruber says it was in the yes, it was. Yeah, because it was, the strip club. But in the original Halloween, when you see the matchbook and it says the Rabbit in Red Lounge, a lounge isn't necessarily a strip club. I mean, I guess it could be, but not necessarily. Like when I hear lounge, I don't think, ooh. And I think sometimes people, they look at the image of the rabbit and subconsciously, I think they think it might be someplace dirty because of Playboy. And of course, because of the Playboy bunny. And I think whether you realize this consciously or not, you look at something like that, and because there's a bunny face, you make this association. There's an unconscious association to something maybe a little adult, and it's red and black, but not necessarily. It could just be a classy restaurant. So, but of course, Rob Zombie, naturally, because he likes to, cuck out his wife and have hick fucking shit. Anyway. Now, of course it's a strip club. Of course. Anyway. Not going to get into that. We'll go for a few more minutes here. Intel Wild sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, in Rob Zombie's world, a lounge is a... Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. I can't argue with that, man. I can't argue with that. Evil Alex says, what are your favorite movie theater memories, good or bad, with family or friends or alone? Great question, Evil. I don't know if I have, I certainly... I'm an unabashed Avatar fan. I really enjoyed that film, and that was a great experience. It was a movie-going experience. I was fortunate enough, I was young, but I was fortunate enough to see Back to the Future when it first came out in the drive-in. Gremlins, when it first came out, I saw that at the drive-in. That was really cool. Saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, of course, in the theater. What other 80s movies? I mean, I saw, ton of movies. Jurassic Park, of course, I saw in the theater. I don't know if I'm trying to think. I always, I don't know. I just, like, I know when I went to see The Conjuring, and that's not that long ago, but that was a great like, anytime that you go to see a horror movie that is a good horror movie in a movie theater packed with people, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And as long as everybody behaves themselves and they're not yelling out, unnecessarily, or somebody's talking during the movie, or they're on their phone or whatever, it can be a great time. I have told this before, and I remember this. I was in Toronto. I was in between voiceover sessions, and I had a couple of hours to kill. And I went and saw the first Insidious in the movie theater. And I was right downtown, right at Dundas Square, which is the Times Square of Toronto. And there's a movie theater there. And I went there and I saw Insidious, the first one. And the theater was pretty much empty because it was a matinee, whatever, right? And I'm there, and these group of kids happen to, when I say kids, probably late teens or early 20s, they happen to sit behind me, right behind me. I'm like, really? You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of fucking thing, right? And anytime there was something and I love that movie. I love the first film, and I really enjoyed watching it. But anytime something scary happened, or there was a noise or whatever, they would kick the back of my seat. They were kicking the back of my seat so violently that there's no way they did not know they were doing it. And I'm the kind of guy that I have no issue standing up and telling you, if you kick my seat one more time, I'm going to beat the ever-loving fucking shit out of you. And if you think I'm kidding, like George Costanza in Seinfeld said, like, do it, try it, do it again. I mean, I'm an adult now. I'm 41 years old. That's not likely my first choice. But when I was growing up, I got into a lot of fights, not a lot of fights, but I wasn't afraid to throw down if somebody pissed me off, because I'm not a big guy, but I'm a strong guy. And so I'm not afraid to do it. And obviously at 41 now, you're not going to get a detention. You're going to get thrown in jail. So obviously I've matured, but there's still that in you where you're like, I'm not afraid to say it, and if it came down to it, I'm not so, but instead of doing that, instead of standing up and, I decided to play it cool and like it didn't bother me. And I just sat there completely still. And I think it freaked them. The fuck out. Like, how is this guy not? Because clearly they were doing it to get a rise out of me. And I just sat there just still, like as if I was dead. And I could hear them going like, what the fuck? What's going on? And of course they're watching this movie, and I'm just sitting there like I'm the, like I'm one of the, it was actually kind of funny. It was actually kind of funny. But yeah, if I fucking piss me off, I fucking hate that. Absolutely piss me off. Just such bullshit. But there's so many experiences. Like I can't think of any other. I'm sure after the show I'll be like, so maybe ask me again in the future, and I'll see. Let's see here. Aaron Anderson says, keep being a sheep then, Lauren. I've worked this entire time. Oh, now guys, Aaron, keep it cool. Keep it cool, guys. Let's be nice. If you want to vent it somewhere else. But let's keep it cool. As long as you guys are cool, let's I don't mind if the discussion gets a little, it's all right. It's all right to kind of, but let's keep it cool. Let's keep it mature. Let's keep it adult. I think you guys are, which is good to see. It's good to see. Intel Wild says, in Rob Zombie's world, oh yeah, I already said that. Intel Wild then says, Dave, what is the date you and Tony are doing the Athon 2 movie thing again? Probably I'll confirm with Tony, but I think it's the last Monday in August. Scott7 says, you missed my super chat prior to the Garfield one. Oh, did I, buddy? Sorry about that. Let me scroll back and see. Let's see here. Here we are. Scott says, what classic films have you seen in theaters for modern re-release? Oh, I think I was just kind of talking about that. Last year I saw Die Hard, Back to the Future, and Saving Private Ryan in theaters. I haven't seen any of their re-releases. I did see the special edition Star Wars when they came out in the mid to late 90s, because I didn't get to see them when they were in the theaters before. I was old enough, like I could have I was quite, when Empire came out, I was 1, and when Jedi came out, I was 4, so I was a little young. So I did that, but yeah, classic 80s films I got to see in the theater when they first came out, like I said, Back to the Future, Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, what other, I think I even saw Weird Science And it's a lot. I'd have to go back and look like go 80s. If I just do that, like 80s movies. Let me just see here. What did I see in the theaters? 80s movies. Let me see here. It's going to give me just a big list here. E.T. For sure. Yep. Gremlins. I think I might. Oh, Jaws: The Revenge. That's not a classic, but that was terrible. I think I might have even seen The Karate Kid. Yeah, there's quite a few there. But I've yet to see the re-releases of them in theaters. My girlfriend and I were actually going to go see Jaws at the Drive-In a couple of weeks ago, but it was sold out. And then the next week we were going to go see Back to the Future at the Drive-In. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like I first saw like Back to the Future in the Drive-In, and but it was sold out again because no movie theaters are open yet. So everybody's going to the Drive-In. It's just insane. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that very much. Let me see here. Super chat from Tom Ferreira. Thank you, Tom. Says, I think I hate having Michael being portrayed sympathetically just as much as him having a motivation. Yeah, Michael shouldn't be portrayed sympathetic. Yeah, there should be no empathy or sympathy towards Michael Myers. I didn't get that in Halloween 18. I didn't feel like anybody was being empathetic towards him. He was, yeah. But I agree with you. He was definitely, they added a bit of an empathetic or sympathetic angle to him in Halloween 5, which was just terrible, absolutely awful. Edwin Sordo says, hey, Dave, what is a food you like now but didn't like before? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not sure. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think that Doritos made me throw up. Because I think I threw up watching Back to the Future at the Drive-In, and I had a bag of Doritos. And for whatever reason, I associated that it was the Doritos that made me sick, which it probably wasn't. And I didn't eat, it was I love Doritos, they're my favorite chips. Cool Ranch, Zesty, Jalapeno, whatever. Plain, love Doritos. And for years, I didn't eat them. And then I think at 15, I tried them again, and I didn't get sick. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not allergic. I thought I was allergic to them. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, but I can't think of it. That's a good question. Can't really think of it. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me here on episode 88 of McRae Live. I have a few things I need to do this afternoon. You guys are amazing. Thank you to my moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Jason Nike, and Darren Sands for doing what you guys do. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to all of the super chats that came in, of course. Really appreciate that, guys. You're helping to support the channel each and every month and keep these shows going, which I really appreciate as well. And don't forget, the link to the Indiegogo campaign for It's Me, Billy is in the description. Anything you guys can afford to help out with is greatly appreciated. And remember, you can donate as well, as little as like $1 or $2. You just go to the page. If you're on your phone, scroll to the very end of the perks and you'll see a donate button. I think make a donation to shaking hands, I think is the icon. And you can donate just a couple of bucks. Anything helps. Anything helps to get us closer to our goal. We would really appreciate it. But check out the perks if you haven't yet, because there's some that are there and some that that you might find interesting and fun. So check them out and let me know. But yeah, I will be back. Boy, I've been flubbing all over the place. That blah, 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 blah. I think it's because I'm tired. I literally only got 4 hours sleep last night. Hopefully I'll be back I will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 89 of McRae Live, and hopefully better rested and not so I feel like I've been that way today. But you know what? We can't all have amazing days. So yeah, that'll do it for me. Like I said, you guys are amazing. Intel Wild says, for the sexy MFers in the chat room, yes, Frank must not be here. So Intel's, I love that. Coming to Frank's side there. Love that. Really appreciate it. And yeah, Darren, remember, chat is COVID free. That is true. It is. So yeah, in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Stay safe out there. Alrighty. Cheers.